This is Pawprint, an animal rescue community, episode 164. I'm Nancy Rhee.
And I'm Harold Rhee.
Today's talented guest is Anna Bischoff.
Very important that rescue groups and also the shelters have an opportunity to get dogs out of a shelter environment where they either may be stressed or scared or, it's just not the most enriching environment for them.
We are super excited to have Anna Bischoff on the show today. She'll be sharing her story of long-term fostering, which does happen occasionally, with a wonderful dog named Bugsy. You can learn more by going to our show notes. This is pawprint.com. Also want to let you know that this coming weekend, that's September 15th and 16th in Pleasanton, California, at the Alameda County Fairgrounds, Pet Food Express is holding their annual Bay Area Pet Fair. Last year was the first year that they held it in Pleasanton, a much larger space. They invited me to interview different organizations. Out of the 70 rescue organizations that were there last year, I interviewed 35 of them. It was a crazy 2 days and an amazing, amazing pet fair. If you're a big believer in animal rescue, you should come on down. It's probably the largest pet fair on the west coast of the United States. And later this week, we'll have our next episode with one of the main people behind the Bay Area Pet Fair, Mike Murray of Pet Food Express. Now, turning back to Anna Bischoff, she reached out to me several months ago saying, hey, I got a story to share. And I said, hey, great, be on our show. So here's Anna Bischoff with her long-term foster, Bugsy.
The fires in Southern California started last summer. I guess even in the fall, it was a later fire season, and there was a call from our city shelter asking for fosters to come and especially for big dogs to come and take dogs out of the shelter because they were anticipating getting dogs from people who needed to evacuate from the fires. So we went and we actually got a dog before Bugsy, who was our first foster. His name was Jalapeno. He was just the sweetest dog. He had some an adjustment period with us, and then immediately got adopted, actually by somebody who had met him at the shelter before, but couldn't take him home at that time. Then thought that was way too short, and we needed another foster dog in our life, so we went back to the shelter and had heard about Bugsy through somebody who had fostered him before and thought that he sounded like he would fit into our lives pretty well. So we went and we actually just showed up, met him, and then left with him pretty immediately. So this is through the LA city shelter where the fosters actually have quite a bit of control and choice in the dogs that they foster. So we chose Bugsy, and he came home with us, and he's been with us since October.
Tell us a little bit about Bugsy. I mean, I've seen photos of him that you've shared with me. A beautiful dog. Tell us a little bit more about him.
His official name from the shelter is Bugsy. We didn't give that to him, but now with us, he's Bugs, Bug, Bugs a Million, Scoobs, Cheech, Smushable. Pretty much any name we can possibly think of giving him. And that's mostly because of his goofy personality. We feel like we need to give him a million nicknames. Part Shar-Pei, at least part Shar-Pei. And he has the definitely smushable face and cute little ears that stick down on his head. And he is just a very, very goofy personality at home with people that he's trusts and knows, but he does take a little bit of time to get used to new people. He kind of growls first, asks questions later, and he just needs a slower introduction to strangers, and then he's perfectly fine and sweet with them after just maybe 20 minutes or so of getting used to somebody new. It's difficult finding a home for a dog that is scared of strangers because the shelter, the LA City shelter, invites fosters to bring their foster dogs to adoption events, and also actually quite a few rescues that I've reached out to. The support that they give community members who may not be directly associated with their rescue, but are trying to help dogs. They'll invite people to come with their dogs that need a new home to their adoption events, but Bugsy doesn't do very well at adoption events. We tried when we first had him, and he met some people just fine, but then other people, it was not. It didn't feel right for Bugsy or for the people involved. So we decided against bringing him to other adoption events, and now it's all of the kind of onus is on us to try and get him out to other rescues who can post him on their website. We do have a Facebook page that's primarily devoted to Bugsy. It was intended to be a promotional tool for any of the fosters that we've had, but since we've only had two, it's basically all about Bugsy. People love going there, and it's been shared a lot recently, and we're hoping to build how we promote Bugsy to people who may be interested in adopting him to a wider audience, having them come to us to communicate about him and ask to meet him in a manner that would show off Bugsy's best qualities and show them who he is as a dog and how he might be in their lives.
What gave you the idea to start a social media, a Facebook page for Bugsy?
I knew how to use it, which was key. I am, I guess, a millennial. However, I was never really on that social media train and don't understand Twitter. So that was a key piece. And also the shelter group has the LA City shelter has a fosters Facebook page, and lots of people were sharing through that Facebook page, which is a closed group, different kind of promotional pieces that they were doing for their foster dogs on Facebook, and all of those were easy to share, and lots of people are on Facebook and interested in at least seeing some great pictures of dogs, and Bugsy is very photogenic, and actually recently did do a photo shoot with a professional photographer, and so has had some really great photos, and the photos I think highlight how he interacts with people that he knows, and I think that makes a big difference for people to be able to see how he might live with them in their lives, but without that kind of hesitation of the first meeting. And
how did you get in touch with the professional photographer? That sounds really cool.
Yeah, so it's Rita Earl Photography, and she works with shelters and rescue groups, and also has donated her time to fosters, knowing that we primarily the fosters that work for or volunteer for the LA City shelters, because she knows that the onus to find those foster dogs a home falls primarily on the foster, and she had worked with another foster guardian that I had met when actually meeting a different dog in the shelter who needed some financial help to have a much needed surgery. And I met with this volunteer, and she provided me Rita's contact information, and Rita was very excited to meet and photograph Bugsy because she used to have a Shar-Pei, and she knew all about the slow introduction and how to win over Bugsy very quickly, which definitely had to do with treats. And she donated her time in her studio, and we took some really great photos with her.
Can you find those photos on your Facebook page or on Bugsy's Facebook page?
Yes, you can. It's right pinned to the very top because it's by far the best photos we have of him. Although some of the others are quite cute with his face smushed into some toys or sitting in bed waiting patiently for dinner. But the photos from Rita are just fantastic, and we actually did get to go outside, and so there's some Bugsy just looks like a natural model. It did all have to do with treats. He will do anything for a treat, but he looks very, very natural there. And those photos are at the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Southern CA Fosters.
All right. Great. That's wonderful. Now that you've spent 6 months with Bugsy, who can you imagine being an ideal owner or adopter or companion for Bugsy?
That's a really great question. It's something that I think about a lot because both my boyfriend and I have lived with Bugsy for a while now and absolutely love him to bits. And we're not just looking for anybody for him to go to. It has to be somebody who can give him as good a life as we are or better. And I think that there definitely is somebody out there who can give him something even better than we can. I think that person would definitely have to be patient. And I think that, understanding that a dog that's 7 years old and has had 7 years of his life to learn how to interact with people in one way, and we're asking him to interact in a different way, is, it's going to take patience from the owner to understand that that's not an easy thing that you're asking him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And learning with him, going to a trainer if not already very experienced with dogs, or dogs that are afraid of strangers, or I think that also somebody that wants a dog that's just going to absolutely fawn over them in their home. He does love sitting next to you on the couch. Couch is definitely his favorite place. And he just likes being next to you as much as he possibly can, and playing out in the backyard. So somebody who's able to provide him enriching activities, and is patient, and hopefully lives in just a quieter neighborhood than we do. That's, I think, the biggest thing that Troy and I wish that we could give Bugsy is someplace where he can walk a little bit with his head a little bit higher, because there are fewer kids riding around on skateboards or fewer motorcycles that he can start being afraid of.
Mm. How much have you tested Bugsy around, as you've already mentioned, children or other animals, dogs, cats, that type of thing?
Bugsy was in playgroup at the LA City shelter, and with similarly sized dogs, under supervision of the shelter staff there. He did just fine. He does love meeting a few of the dogs along the neighborhood walk, who are out in their front yards and are friendly and will play with Bugsy a little bit. But he is afraid of strangers, so of people. So if somebody is walking their dog and they're walking up to us, initially he'll be excited to meet that dog, but then he'll see the person behind the dog and start getting scared, and that kind of puts the other dog on edge a little bit too, and it's not the best meeting situation. So
Mm-hmm.
under proper introduction, he does well with other dogs. And actually, something that we're really excited about is that the trainer that we've gone to see with Bugsy is starting a new group. He's calling it the Doggy Social Club. And so Bugsy will get to play with other dogs under the supervision of the trainer, and we'll see, I think, a lot better how he interacts with other dogs after he's had a chance to get the initial excitement out and see different sizes and different temperaments of dogs and how he does. And that also means that he gets to play with dogs, which is something that we haven't really been able to provide him that often while he's been under our care. And then in terms of kids, he's when he knows people, he is so easy to get along with, and you can run into him, you can step on his foot, you can cut his toenails, you can clean his ears, you can give him eye drops, and he's just the easiest going dog. But again, with strangers, he's pretty hesitant. So with kids, it's the same way. So if he knows the kids well, it would be he'd be a really good friend to some kids. But if he doesn't know the kids, then it just takes proper introduction and supervision. So it would have to be a family where they're aware of his limitations around any new kids that would come to the house, and then any kids that he would meet, out on the street, just knowing that that even though he's great with their kids, it would take some supervision and proper introduction to meet others.
Awesome. Thanks for that thorough answer. When you say introduction, what would be the ideal, let's say, time period or environment to introduce Bugsy, let's say, to a new family member?
He's really great in enclosed spaces. So especially in our home, it's worked out very well to have new people come to our house, and we'll just invite them in and tell them that he's going to be initially hesitant, and but he is going to want to sniff them. So to let him say hi just on his own terms and have them ignore him for a couple of minutes, and then actually he will do tricks. He likes to do tricks simple as sit, and kind of as complicated as we're teaching him left versus right. So he likes to work for affection and treats. And so actually, kind of as soon as 10 or so minutes goes by, the guest can start asking him to sit and handing him treats, and he really does kind of enjoy that. And then after about 20 minutes or half an hour, he's just relaxed, and he'll kind of ignore them as much as they're ignoring him. And then the next time they walk in our front door, he's got the, I call it the middle of the spine fulcrum wag, where just the whole body goes. So he's just fine after that.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. We're talking to Anna Bischoff. She is the foster mom for Bugsy, a roughly 7.5-year-old Shar-Pei mix.
Yes, 7 years old, according to the shelter paperwork.
All right, great. And we're trying to find Bugsy a loving, permanent family to live with. If you could dream up an ideal scenario, what would be the best way for folks to meet with Bugsy?
We are willing to travel with Bugsy. He does great in the car. And we are happy to go to almost anywhere that somebody wants to meet him, and we'll bring him to you to meet. Or if you're in the local Southern California area, we can. It would be that much easier for him to meet somebody new. But I think that just contacting first via the Facebook page or email, and making sure that he would be a good fit for a potential adopter, and kind of what they're looking for in a dog, and whether or not we think that Bugsy could fit that role in their lives, would be important. And then just spending a little bit of time with him, and even just a couple of meetings, and then you'll start seeing him just be that goofball that he is with us.
All right. Thanks for sharing that. What is the best way to find Bugsy? I know you mentioned already the Facebook page. How about Petfinder or any other websites?
Yeah, he is on Petfinder and Adopt a Pet, and actually one of the rescue groups that we contacted, which is Home for Every Living Pet. Their acronym is HELP. They've done networking for Bugsy on a few other websites, including Petfinder, where their dogs have to be a part of a rescue group to be posted. And so if you're able to search for a Home for Every Living Pet, then he'll likely be on whatever search engine you're using.
All right. Well, we always ask this question, which is, if you had a magic wand and could do something to change animal rescue, what do you think you would do?
I think that in terms of my experience with Bugsy, having a place that that potential adopters could go and include information about what they're looking for, not just in terms of breed or size of dog or age of dog, and really kind of be able to talk more about what their lifestyle is and what they'd like from a new dog, and a new member of their family, and having a place for them to put their information there for rescue organizations or fosters like me to go and be able to see if the dog that they have in their care would be a good fit. I know that on your Facebook page you had posted about the Bark Buddy, which is like a dating app for dogs and potential adopters, and it sounds like what they do is they take information from Petfinder, which is great, and then puts it into a more user-friendly interface. But I think that getting even a little bit deeper about, from a potential adopter's perspective, what would make a really great fit for them. For people like me who have really gotten to know Bugsy, I think that we could find somebody a little bit quicker if they were interested in talking kind of more on that depth, about what they're looking for from a dog.
Right. Well, after you've gotten to know Bugsy for 6 months, what makes Bugsy special to you?
Well, that's a great question. I really do think that he's got kind of this perfect medium energy level, and he loves going out for walks and playing in the backyard, just enough to kind of get tired, and then he's happy to just hang out and sleep on the couch. And I love all of his little quirks, like the setting his head on your leg when he's a little bit bored, and getting his tail going when he's interested in what you're doing. Often it's sitting on the computer or reading a book, and to me it seems like he wants to just be a part of whatever you're doing. And he also is just interested in learning new things. We did take him out to a gym, a doggy gym that had agility equipment. And as far as I understand, it was the first time he'd ever seen agility equipment, and he just was beyond happy to run around and try everything, and just follow your lead on whatever you're asking him to do. And he's just fine doing it, and he loves to learn all those new things. And I think that's something that I think is really a great personality trait of his.
Cool. So kind of a good mix of couch potato with some medium activity levels, right?
Yeah, and also a willingness to just kind of do anything, as long as there's not a stranger nearby, for him to kind of get scared. If he's totally relaxed, he'll we were building some vegetable beds in the backyard, and I thought, I wonder if he would go into it. And immediately, as soon as I asked, he said, "Oh yeah, that's fun. I'll jump right in."
That's great. Give Bugsy a shot if you're in the Southern California area. So finally, what is the importance, in your opinion, of fostering for animal rescue groups? You've done it now a couple times. Has anything changed in your mind as far as the importance of fostering?
Definitely not in terms of the importance of fostering. I still think it's very important that rescue groups and also the shelters have an opportunity to get dogs out of a shelter environment where they either may be stressed or scared, or it's just not the most enriching environment for them, and into a home where they can really get to know that dog's personality and how they might be in another home. And I think that's incredibly important.
We just want to say thank you to Anna Bischoff for sharing her story. If you want to learn more about today's episode and take a look at Bugsy, go to our show notes at thisispawprint.com. Coming up later this week, we'll have our episode with Mike Murray of Pet Food Express talking about this week's Bay Area Pet Fair. You won't want to miss this episode, so stay tuned. If you want to check us out on social media, you can find us on Facebook or Instagram. Look for This Is Pawprint. That's our handle. All the music you hear on today's episode is performed, produced, and composed by the amazing Luke Gartner-Brereton. Find him at info.vanillagroovemedia.com. And remember, you spread a positive message of love and peace by saving an animal. Have a great day, everyone, and see you next time on Pawprint.
Pawprint is a production of EVER Education.
You can't handle the truth.